We're here at the Vought House in New Jersey. It's a British colonial home. I don't know all of the history, but it was important in the Revolutionary War. And what's interesting about it for us is that the interiors are all done with wattle and daub finishes. So essentially an earthen mass that's pressed into reeds that's interwoven. And there's been some water damage over the years. It's resilient, but still there's some damage, and we're here to reconstitute the daub and help to put some of it back together. So what I've done here is we assumed that they got the clay-rich soil off the property, and we did indeed find some. We made some tests, what we call shake and jar tests. So we have the original material that we just kind of ground up, and just to get a sense of what the clay content was there any silt in it, what was the aggregates that are naturally in the soil. And then we did a series of tests around the property. You can see they're numbered 1 through 4 here, different locations. And we found a couple that probably worked pretty good, number 1 and number 3. And we're going to be making tests on those. So here's basically the number 3. Dig down about 16 inches and we find some clay-rich earth. So I'm going to start mixing that. Add a little bit of water. The earth is pretty moist already, but there we go. And just going to knead it together. If there's any really large boulders in there, we'll get them out, but it doesn't seem to be. So we've got a nice mass. To that, I'm just going to add a couple of handfuls. We just got some manure, cow manure. Picked that up a couple of days ago from organic local husbandry outfit, and right here, local, in the next county over. And so I'm just going to knead that in as well. What the cow manure does, it's going to add some tensile strength because it still contains a lot of fiber that passes through the stomach systems of the cow, and also some proteins, which makes it gets much more sticky. So we are not certain if the original mix had cow manure or not. It certainly had fiber. So it looks like they may have added straw, not necessarily manure, but it's really difficult to tell. I've got a nice working mix there. Right. If you look closely here, what we have is some hot lime. That's some limestone or chalk that's been freshly burnt, but not quenched. So it's not been slaked at all. So normally it's a little bit dangerous to work with, but working in this way, just adding it to some damp earth, just not too much, just a couple of handfuls. We did see lime inclusions in the original earthen daub. Lid back on that. On some longer gloves. It's very caustic. You don't want that too much in contact with your skin. But at least working with it this way, because you're not putting it directly in water or putting water directly on it, but working it into a damp material, much more safe to work with. And I can feel it already in my hands warming up. That's what they call it, hot lime, because there's an exothermic reaction as that lime really wants to absorb the water chemically, and then it quickly, fast reaction that takes place that changes calcium oxide, quicklime, into calcium hydroxide as it absorbs those 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 more of oxygen. You can actually hear it. Get close. Yeah. So yeah, that's that quenching, fast action. So as the lime is very thirsty, this mix is getting drier and drier, so I have to keep adding little by little. A little more water to keep the consistency. Basically, we're looking for a ball that will hold its shape. call those balls daubs, wattle and daub. You take these balls and you press them in and through the reeds. Yep, it's getting dry now. It's having a hard time sticking together. So I'll just add a little bit more water, quenching that lime. I mean, of course, this is just a little test sample. We'll probably be doing this in a mixer once we get to the actual restoration work. All of these are samples. We're going to see what their compressive strength is when they dry compared to the original material. Make sure that we're in the restoration that we're doing something similar. The original material gets quite hard. So, I mean, not quite like concrete, but close. You know, that's the thing about clay. Once it gets dry, very dry, especially if you include a little bit of lime in it, it's very, very hard. That speaks to its durability, despite the fact that there was roof leaks. It's in surprisingly good condition, the render inside. The big question is how much water to add, you know, and a little bit easier to answer in a mixer, but basically the minimum it takes to get the consistency you want. Because if you make it overly wet, what happens is that excess water will just evaporate, and that leaves voids in your daub. It just makes it weaker. So you want something that, you know, it's like cookie dough. You just have to really shove it in between the reeds, the wattle. Okay, that's this form. Over here a little bit. Okay. Take my daubs, shove them in. So we're creating some bricks. This is about the nominal thickness that we were finding in the house. It's about 3 inches thick. The daub. So we get some of those. It's another important thing to do is beat it. It's not unlike baking, you know, working some dough. You're getting the air bubbles out this way. And that compression really helps with its performance and strength. Nothing fancy. Just beat it a little bit. Alright, it's holding its shape, that's a good sign, not breaking apart. That means we have enough water. So I've got my brick, and then got some leftover material here, so just make myself a daub.